Hi and welcome to episode 7 of Hanging On by a Thread podcast. My name is Silje and I'll be chatting to you about knitting and crochet and any fiber things that might strike my fancy during a week, and I'll show you what I've been doing. You can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as Silmoa, and I also have a blog where I will put the extended show notes for this podcast, which is byathreadblog.com. I will also put any links to any patterns and things, podcasts, whatever. I don't know what I'm going to talk about yet, more or less. But anything I mention during the podcast, I should be able to write in the description field below. And yeah, let's get into it. So this week has flown by. I don't feel like I got so much done this week, but I do have some bits to show you, none of which are the things that I mentioned in the previous episode that I wanted to work on. Oh yes, I did talk about one. You might guess what it is. But first, let's talk about this. This gorgeous sweater, if I might say so myself, is a pattern a lot of you have seen a lot of before. I think, was it published in 2019? Yeah. So I think it came out in October-ish, September, October 2019. It is Ghost Horses by Caitlin Hunter, and I cast mine on almost immediately after it was published. I have used a local hand dyer yarn. This is Venul Finchley by Verbit yarn. Is a hand dyer in Oslo. And the light grey here is the neutral or natural undyed yarn, and the contrasting green is a one-of-a-kind colorway that I found laying in her shelves when I was passing by. I was lucky enough to, this was pre-COVID. This is autumn 2019, where we were at liberty to travel anywhere we wanted to or were sent by work. So I was sent on a conference to Oslo. I live in Norway, close to Trondheim, which is where I work. And I was sent to Oslo on a conference, and I took a short trip to her Laila from Verbit's shop when it was then in Grünerløkka. So I went there to peruse what I had only seen online, and it was a very, very lovely shop and a very lovely lady, and I felt so welcome coming in there. Come, sit down, have a coffee, and I just sat down, had a coffee, chatted, knitted. It was very nice, everything that a little yarn shop should be. And so I bought these 2 skeins of the one-of-a-kind colorway and 2 skeins of the undyed yarn, and it is just beautiful. It's I don't think that she does this particular version of Venul still, but there's always some version of it. It is I think it's a lamb's wool and pelt wool blend, which makes it very soft, very warm and light and airy and just goodness all at the same time. So that's the yarn. The pattern was also very quick to knit. I remember I started it, I think, in October, and going to work in between, it was done in November, same year, which for me is kind of a big deal. I tend to have projects going over several years. Yeah. What to say about this pattern? It is a top-down yoke all over color work, but really it's just the yoke bit, and then it's just repeating a pattern in here. So I knitted a length that's about just below my hip bone, and I 3/4 length sleeves, which I remember thinking that it was a bit strange that in the pattern there were not really much of decreases. Sorry, I'm back. I was talking about the sleeves on this sweater. So on the pattern there wasn't a lot of decreases going on, so I ended up with kind of a wide thing going on here, which I don't know. I always thought, well, if it bothers me, I'll just unravel. I do a few more rounds and decreases and fix that. But I never did, and it does sort of bother me. But who cares? I'll just kind of, it works, sort of. But it's very comfy. The horses running around. There is some build up here with short rows when you cast on, it's top down. Obviously, so you can fit it while you go. I think I knit the size number 3 in the pattern. Probably meeting the gauge. Yeah, I think I actually got gauge on this, which was surprising to me because every other time I try to knit Caitlin Hunter's patterns, my gauge is completely off. Like, I must be... I have a much tighter gauge on the same size needles as she has, and I do think I prefer the fabrics a bit tighter because, like, for instance, there's a pattern for to use a fingering weight yarn, like one of these silky yak yarns that are like they're so thin and or just a normal merino fingering weight, right? Like something like that, which is super thin. And the pattern using these yarns want to have like a gauge of 22 stitches per 10 centimeters, which is a very open fabric and loose, which I'm not too fond of. I like it to be a bit, you know, actually cover the skin. So yeah. But when it's a woolly fingering, it's easier to do because it kind of floofs out, especially for color work. So, well, fingering sports weight, they kind of, the wool and spun yarns are kind of more forgiving that way, I feel, rather than the 4-ply worsted spun. Are they worsted spun? Not sure, but those, yeah, you know, the 4-ply merino sock yarns, they're kind of tight. They're squishy, but they're tight. Yeah, so that's that. Mostly I love the colors and the warmth and lightness of this, and the horses are pretty. Yeah. I don't think I have more to say about that. Let's see. Okay, so that was what I was wearing. Now, what have I been doing with myself this week? As you might remember from last episode, I got thoroughly distracted from my plans by Gudrun Johnston's new pattern, the Kellister hat, and I immediately cast that on. And if you have followed me on Instagram, you might also know that I finished one hat. Yes, and that hat is the Kellister hat, and I have finished one hat. I did the shorter version, so once you've done the color work, there's an option to make it longer on this solid color section here, if you need to. So that would be really useful if you either really like a slouchy hat or if you have a short row gauge. My problem is not that, it's rather the opposite. So even with the short option, I'm left with quite a long hat, but I think it's got just the right amount of slouch. You can see this. That's my Callister. So we got the corrugated ribbing going on down here, and then this gorgeous kind of classic EXO crosses and circles ferrule motif, which I think is really lovely. And of course I just fell in love with the hat as shown in the photo, and I had to find the colors that most resembled the colors that Gudrun used in her hat. So this is done in Rauma. No, it is not. It is the charcoal color is Hillesvåg Ask, and then the gold and orange is Rauma Finull, and the beige oatmeal color is Hillesvåg Villeder Lambswool. And yeah, it's everything a wool hat should be, isn't it? So I can see if I can try this on. I look completely ridiculous or not. But how do I try this on after blocking it? See, it's got a bit of a bagginess here, so it's a hat. And should I or should I not put a pom-pom? I think this needs a pom-pom, because when it's this loose up top, I think it needs a pom-pom. What do you guys think? Yeah? It looks really pretty. So, being on a hat kick, I figured I need more hats. I need another one. Because I had some issues with the brim. I cast on for this hat like 4 times. First I used the needle called for in the pattern, but that was giving me the wrong gauge. So, and for the brim, the row gauge is quite important, and it's like you knit 3 rows in each color to make the brim. And I even commented on the pattern and asked, like, how wide is the brim supposed to be? Because the actual measurement doesn't say it, it's not mentioned in the pattern. And it just says, you know, X rows, and the row gauge should be 40 rows, and I was not getting that. I was getting like 32 rows. So my corrugated brim was getting to be like 7 centimeters wide, which, you know, would cover my whole ear, but it did not look like on the photo, and I wanted it to look like on the photo, you know? That's the whole point. Oh, jeez. My mom's trying to call me. Got the phone on silent, but she'll have to wait. I am busy. I know I'm not busy much anymore, ever, but I am now. So, talking to you guys. Let's see. So yeah. But after washing and blocking, I was also worried that it was gonna get too tight, and But in the end, it does fit my head. It's snug around here and loosey-goosey up here. So, yeah. But after I washed and blocked it and wore it, it actually did stretch out. So after having gone down a few sizes to be, I got like a row gauge of 35 and still getting it should be 28 by 40. 28 stitches and 40 rows per 10 centimeters. I was not getting that. I was getting like 28 and 35. So had I gone down another needle size, I went down to a 3. If I'd gone down to a 2.5 millimeter needle, I would have messed up it would have been like 30 stitches instead. Yeah, you get my problem here. And while I was knitting it, it looked fine. I got the 4.5 centimeters that the corrugated rib should be. But after washing it, what did we end up on? After washing it and stretching it out, it ended up being like 3.5 centimeters of rib. So for the next one, I am letting the brim be wider. And I removed one line, one row of the middle color. So here's, you got to see that's the corrugated rib on the new one. You got 3 rows of gold, 3 green, 2 brown, 3 green, 3 gold. And the other one is just two of each. But you can see how, I mean, with only taking out one row, my rib is quite a bit deeper. It's like 6 centimeters. So yeah, but then, you know, since this is kind of, it has less stitches on the rib than it has on the hat pattern itself. So once I wear this, block it and stretch it out, it will kind of shorten because it will stretch up like so. So instead of 6, I'll end up with 5, maybe 5 centimeters of a brim, which is fine. That covers my ear. I'm curious to see how that looks. Right now I've just done a corrugated rib, continuing the ribbing because it gets folded like so, and then you flip it inside out and you do the color work section going the other direction with some clever way to close up that gap, you know. So if I fold down the finished one, you can see it's like this. So that's the inside. It's normal ribbing. So this folds over. And this is a smaller needle again, so this will fit nicely on the outside of that. Then we increase with some stitches, go up a needle size for the color work. So it's really cleverly done. I love this design, and I'm curious to see how the light version knits up. I'm using much of the same colors. So for the main color on the light version, I am using the same Vilja lamb's wool that I had, that I used the stripes, or the beige one here. It's the same one. There's such a nice, I don't know, biscuity color. It's a very nice light beige. And I'm using the same heathered gold color from Roma, and with this, let's see, the dark brown is also from Roma, And then this lovely, lovely green is from Jameson Smith Spindrift. I think this is the birch. No, birch is brown. Which color is this? We will find out in the magic of editing. Somewhere around here, the name of this color will pop up on screen. Obviously, it's green and it's gorgeous. I think it's one of my favorite colors, and you see it has this kind of yellow specks that kind of melds into this coppery gold. Oh, it's so gorgeous together. And yeah, this is the brown color. I think it's the one that's called sauesvart, so like sheep's black in the Rauma Finul palette. Pretty sure. So those will become my second lovely squishy Kellister hat. And if the hat kick continues, I have my eye on another Gudrun Johnston Feral hat, which I bought a while ago and I had forgotten I did, and I rediscovered it in my PDF patterns folder while I was opening the Callister, that I was like, download, buy, download, cast on immediately. And I found the Barrow pattern, which is a similar hat. It does not have the corrugated rib, but it does have a very nice feral motif on the body of the hat, and on the top bit here there's loose. So I thought it was such a cute combination of something utterly Shetland and very much Norwegian, so it was like marrying those two traditions, which I thought was very nice and it's very cute. So after the second Callister, I'm thinking a Barrow hat must happen. Not sure what colors though. Oh, it's always the most fun to choose the colors, I think. And I am always so ambivalent between choosing colors that I know I will get a lot of wear out of and use a lot, and just casting on in wild colors. Like, I had one. I want it in purple, but will I wear the purple hat? I don't know. But I was thinking, I think purple and mint would be delicious for the Barrow hat. Let me show you what I'm thinking, because I think I've got this mad, there's a mad like heathered purple. Oh, sorry. Heathered purple with lots of pink tones to it from Rauma. That is just a gorgeous color. But would I wear it as a hat on my face? They say purple is the most favorite color of Norwegian women. Why? I do not know, but we do like good purple. Just stating broadly, speaking for every Norwegian woman out there, we love purple. If I can't pull it off, I know my mom can. So she's a very appreciative recipient of knitwear. Every time she sees me knitting anything, she asks, "Oh, who's that for?" I can even say something like, "Oh, well, this, I am knitting myself a sweater," I say, using the word myself. And she's like, "Oh, who's gonna get that when you're done?" Meaning, read, give it to me. That's what she says. I'm looking at this hat now. I think this will be very pretty hat. Let's see, I've got, it's an old shoebox, yeah. But, shoeboxes are useful, especially when they get stuffed with the This is my Jamieson and Smith's color box. So I have this is the entirety of my Jamieson and Smith Spindrift stash. Well, it's not only Jamieson and Smith, it's the other Jamieson as well, from Shetland, which is this is Jamieson and Smith. I am confusing. The one I have the most of is Jamieson's, not to be confused. The Shetland Spindrift. But don't you think that would be very good? That, come on, focus on the yarn. That would be an excellent hat. Yeah. Add a fourth color here. That would be a very happy hat. Yay? I think yes. Or do we like this better? It's too blue maybe. This one is too blue. We'll see, but this is delicious. Like I did buy this purple because I like to have a bit of a selection with finer. It goes perfectly with the Shetland yarns, and they come in bigger balls, so I usually do a main color from this and then I use these guys for accents. I bought this online during this zero pandemic thinking it was gonna be sort of kind of like the Bramble colorway of Spindrift, which is such a beautiful purple, but no. I mean, the two, they're similar, but they don't compare. Like, the Bramble is much more layered. It has a beautiful heathering. It's just gorgeous. I could have a sweater in that color. This, the Roma one, it's just kind of like two color heather, and is very bright. It's a bit mental. So yeah. So this is like the berry itself, you know, a delicious blackberry or something. And this is like the candy version. I don't know if that makes any sense, but that's how I feel with quite a few of these. So like this, like that green I was talking about earlier. The same thing happened with this green and the Roma heathered green. It's just so bright and mental compared to the one that is just, I just love the multiple colored heathers that Spindrift has. And I wish it was easier to get a hold of in Norway, because I'd be like taking all my neutrals from Finul, because, you know, cheaper. And all my colors, all my colorwork colors with Spindrift, that would be wonderful. So yeah, we'll see what happens, but I think it could be cool, this mad purple though, because I have enough of the Bramble to make a hat. Got 2 balls, but I'm kind of like, I'm a bit jealous of them, keeping them from some sort of amazing colorwork yoke, I think. And since I've been you know, fangirling on Gudrun Johnston's patterns lately, there is either the Yoki Doki or the other one, the newer one. Don't remember what it's called, but one of those two are like, maybe I'm feeling that kind of yoke, because they're really pretty, but they're not so mad of a commitment than another Mary Wallen design with, you know, 12 colors. So that, let's see. let's see what happens with these guys. But this is crazy. Back in the basket with you. And yeah, so let's see, what else do I have to speak about? Do I have any other works in progress? That was the hat. I was supposed to talk about the finished one, right? You want to see another one that was finished, which had been knitted. I finished knitting a while ago, and it has been behind me here folded for I don't know how long. Since last summer, probably. I think I finished knitting this last summer. But it has finally been washed and blocked. And it is this shawl. What? This beautiful Camomille Shawl. This is a Helga Isager pattern. I say finished. It's finished enough. I've got to weave in the ends, but it has been washed, and I think this will be nice and warm with both these colors, because it kind of plays with that gold color, so I think it will work with this as well. I think it's got some orange. This yarn has some oranges and greens, so it will also match beautifully this hat. Yay! Gorgeous. So this is the Camomille Shawl by Helga Isager. It's from the book Finstrikket, which I am sure they have it in Norway, Denmark, Sweden. I do think it's in English, but fine knits, maybe, that's my loosely. But it's all fine gauge knits for every season. And this is just a very simple shawl that you start at the center here and you work your way out, so it becomes this triangle with a very simple lace edge. Let's see if you can see that edge there. Am I not doing a very good job on this, am I? But yeah, there's 2 yarns in this, so it's a 2 skein project, I'd say. I would have liked to have a little bit more left over of the yarn, because you're supposed to have tassels on each end, which I think would have been beautiful, but I really just didn't have enough yarn for that. I have only this much left of the, I would say the main color, but the color I had doubled. This is so yeah, this is Isager Spinny and a mustard colorway, obviously mustard, held double with the King Fiber Punjabi colorway. So it's that lovely orange, greens, yellows and pinks, and just I just saw this skein online and I had to have it. It was thoroughly a luxury buy for me. This is silk and yak, and it's just so smooth. It's a single ply yarn, and I paired it with the Helga Isager Spinny, which is also single ply, but it's a very rustic wool, and it creates this lovely fabric that is very drapey, warm and light at the same time, because I feel like these slippery yarns would have been not warm enough for me for the use I want to give this shawl. You know, scarf basically. I will use it as a scarf. And yeah, so it looks stripy because, you know, it is. The effect you get is like kind of on the, so you do a stripe with the yarns held double and one stripe with only the Isager spinny, or the other one if you wanted to. But that Isager spinny is such a thin ply that it becomes a little see-through, so it creates this nice sheer effect. If you see, I hold it in front of my lamp here. You can see that very clearly. I just thought that was such a gorgeous effect. And yeah, finally finished. I don't think I talked about this yarn when I cast it on, like in episode 2 of this lovely podcast series. And that was 2 years ago. So YouTube tells me. And yeah, it is finished and blocked and can be used. So whenever the degrees outside rise enough, it's still about 20 minus outside. It's utterly beautiful winter scenery, but it's just too cold. So when it heats up a little bit outside, I will bundle up in this with my new Kellister hat, either of them, and go for a walk. Maybe I'll grab the camera with me and film a little of said beauty as well. There's a little footpath by the fjord, which is very lovely. Yeah. So that's definitely it for finished objects for today. And I did chat a bit about the hat. I only have one more thing to talk about today that are in progress. And that is, let's see if I get this right, Walt the Green Monster. So it's amigurumi time. Walt the Green Monster. He is from book Amigurumi Monsters. And yeah, I've been getting a few of these books, and every time a book arrives, my son grabs them because they all have all of these creatures, they have a name and a little story to them. He just grabs it, read it to me. So I have to read all the little descriptions on the monsters and the personalities. So I'm making this guy. There you go, camera. There's dapper gentleman here. I did not have a red yarn, so I figured blue would be acceptable. I have cotton dot spar. 2 feet. And legs, and I'm starting with the body, obviously. And so, yeah, this is fun. I'm really enjoying making these little creatures for my boys. And again, I'm doing this in the same yarn as I did the last one. It's the Sheepjes Katona. I am using a bit of the green, the blue obviously, and then black and white. And Walt, the Green Monster. If he's named the Green Monster, I couldn't make him yellow, could I? So yeah, that's happening. This is what I agreed with my son, because he chose for me to do. I said, choose any creature in this book you want and I can make it for you. He wanted this guy, which is Solomon the Sock Eater. And he's enormous. He's so big. And he's got this whole complicated wire skeleton thing, and he has so many pieces on him that I came to an agreement with Emil that yes, I will make the Sock Eater, but he's gonna have to wait for it. So meanwhile, I'm making a far more simpler monster, which is Walt. Walt is designated as an easy pattern, while as the Sock Eater Monster is an advanced skill lever. Yeah. So let me see. So yeah. That's the amigurumi of today. Oh no, I have... Oh, it's wet. I made something for the baby too. My 4 months old, 20 weeks. Nearly 20 weeks. He's still baby enough to be talked about in weeks. So I made a little thing. It's already been used, so it's a bit disgusting actually. It's all wet. It has been drooled on, but I got just like a standard pattern. I don't know if you can see that the head and the ears are just totally wet. I just made these little cuddles for him, which he loves. These are quite firm actually, so they're nice to eat. They're moist. But yeah, there was a free pattern on hobby.dk, so I just downloaded the Danish pattern. It is so it's just it was for bunnies, but I just wanted to use a bit more of this orange yarn I had, and didn't feel like orange bunnies was a thing, so it became a bit of a supposed to be a tiger, but I think it's more of a docile house cat, a ginger cat. And you know, just make a little ball, increases and take off there, and you make little ears, sew them on, stitch on a face, and stitch on some stripes to make it more rare, tigery. And it's a hit, I'd say. The amount of spittle that's in here tells me it's a hit. Good thing is this can be washed at 60 degrees. The fiberfill stuffing is okay for that, and this is cotton that you can wash on 60 degrees Celsius. So that's good, because I think I think it will need a wash again soon. Yeah. So I think that's it for me today. It's a bit of a shorter one, I think. Maybe. I stopped recording and started again, and there's a lot of clips in this one, so I'm not entirely sure for how long I have been sitting here. We will see. As always, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed my little ramble about my knitterly things. And if you liked it, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Click the subscribe button, share it with all your friends, recommend it, you know. And I hope to see you next time in about a week. Bye.